Hey everyone, it's Fook, and it's lunchtime. So today I'm going to make my shrimp fajitas. Fajitas of any kind are really simple to make, because all it really is onions and bell pepper, sauteed with your favorite meat, and a bit of seasoning. And it comes together super fast. So today I'm going to make shrimp fajitas, mainly because I have these jumbo shrimps from Henry's. And that's what I'm going to do. You can make it with chicken or steak or really whatever protein you like. Tofu even if you like, if you want to go for that vegetarian option. So for this, I'm going to make 2 servings. And they'll be pretty generous servings. So it basically requires 1 whole bell pepper. And I'm using half of a yellow one and half of a green one, just for a difference in flavor. The green one is younger, so it's a little bit bitter, tart, whatever you want to call it. Not as sweet. So I took off the stem, some of the ribbings out. You don't need to take out all of the ribbing. Removed all the seeds, and now I'm going to cut it up into rough slices, because we don't have to be very exact with this. Now, I've already peeled my shrimps, so they're ready to go. As soon as I have the veggies cut, we can start cooking. Okay. I'm just going to do this really quick. So my peppers. This is a perfect season for fajitas as well. The peppers are in season, so they're not crazy expensive. And because it's summer, the temperature is higher. And this is a super quick dish to make. Okay, so there's my veggie. And I have 1 or 2 seeds in there, but not a big deal. And I'm going to slice my onions. And for this amount of pepper, I'm going to need 2 rings. That seems like the perfect amount. Bag up the other half before I put it back in the fridge, so it doesn't smell up, cause a stink for everything else. Got my little trash bag going. And the onions are super easy too. You basically just quarter them and break them up in the saute pan. Okay, let's go ahead and start cooking. So while my fajitas are going, I'm gonna get their tortillas cooking too. I like using these Guerro Fresque-ricas tortillas. They're flour tortillas, and they're kind of par baked, almost like par baked bread. I got my cast iron pan here, and really they cook up in 90 seconds if you were using high heat. I'm not going to. I'm just going to use low heat to get them going while I wait for my fajitas to cook. So I'm adding a bit of olive oil to the pan. This is from Tesco, so it's not extra virgin, but that's fine. We're not making salads with it. I bought this when I was in the UK for my apartment. Just had some left over. So for sautéing, you don't need the expensive stuff. The cheap stuff will be just fine. I add my veggies and let that cook. I'm using a fairly high heat on the fajita side for the sautéing, because I want to get this softened and reduced down. Get that coated in the oil. And because I cut the onions into rings and then quarter them, they're going to break up nicely. And then the shrimp I'm going to save for last. when everything is pretty much ready, because it cooks up really fast. You can see that my tortillas are going pretty nicely, starting to cook, even on super low heat. This cast iron pan works really well. It's one of those enameled cast iron, and it's a lightweight cast iron pan, so it's not as heavy as the size would indicate. I mean, it's still pretty heavy because it's cast iron, but I think that one's from Lodge. I like it, works well. Okay, so my veggies are now sautéing. The tortillas, because it's kind of par baked, when it's kind of raw, it's still semi-translucent. You can see that it gets a little bit whiter, more like less translucent as it starts to cook. And like I said, I'm on the super low setting here because it's gonna take a while for the actual fajitas to be ready. So I don't want to overcook my tortillas. Like I said, usually it's 90 seconds, 30 seconds aside, 3 times on high heat, and you're ready to go. It'll puff up. Okay, that's beginning to look really nice. At this point, I will season the veggies just so that they absorb some of that as they're cooking. And there's no set recipe measurement for this. It's just kind of by eye. This is taco seasoning. I got this from my local grocery store. You can pick up almost any brand, should be fine. So I like to sprinkle it all over my veggies. And when I add the shrimp, I'm going to put in a little bit more. Now, this taco seasoning has a bit of salt, so I don't need to add extra salt. All right, let that cook down a bit. And I'm going to flip my tortillas. It's hot, but it's not like super hot. And if I grab it from the edge, it should be fine. I'm basically cooking the onions and the bell pepper until they're tender. And if things get a little dry, I can add a bit of water. Like right now it's a bit dry, so I'm going to go and take a bit of water. This is not that dirty of a bowl. It's I was using it for the shrimp shells. I like my veggies in a fajita really tender. If you like it more crisp, if you cook at a high heat, you can let it go for maybe like 5 minutes and it'll be done. But mine will take maybe about 10. So that water just kind of emulsify with the seasoning and the brown bits that's down below. I'm gonna let this cook down for a bit and then I'll come back. All right, so it's been about 10 minutes and all of the water that I've added is almost all evaporated. So I'm gonna reduce the heat a bit. Take these jumbo shrimp, and they are massive. I have 6 here for 2 servings, which should be perfect. So add that at the end. A little bit more seasoning right on top of the shrimp just to make sure that they're covered. Flip my tortillas. So now that we're at this stage, it's going to come together really quick. Basically, just want to make sure that my shrimps are fully cooked. Okay, so the water is gone down even more. I'm going to flip them because shrimp is super fast. Now the thing is, this tastes amazing, fresh, but I think it tastes even better overnight. So if you save a portion in the fridge, cover it with some saran wrap and have it the next day, just reheat it in the microwave for 45 seconds or something like that in the microwave safe bowl. It is amazing. It has a sweetness to it the next day that is not as evident when you first make it. Not quite sure why. There's something going on with all the flavors melting in the fridge like that. So these are almost done, and I can tell just from the feel of it, the shrimp kind of firms up. These are fully defrosted, so they don't need a lot of time. Like a minute. Look at how amazing that is. All right. I think we're done. So what happens now, let's give it one more flip. Like I said, I'm feeling it more than anything else. Turn off the heat completely and kind of mix everything together. So I had 6 shrimps in here. So every fajita will get 3, which is more than enough. And then the rest I'll keep for another meal. So my tortillas is pretty much done. You can see that it's turning less translucent, and it will puff up if I keep flipping it. You can kind of see it on this side is puffing up, but for the most part it's done. So take this off, put it on my plate. Let's get my veggies on with my shrimp. There's the first shrimp. Veggies. My second shrimp. More veggies. And my third shrimp. I think to distribute this evenly, let's get a little bit more there. All right. That's pretty much it. We're done. Let me get my salsa. Move it over here. And normally I would make a fresh salsa if it was a proper big meal, but this is just a quick lunch. I really prefer this brand right here, Herdez Salsa Casera Hot. It's actually not that hot, but it's really flavorful. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll bring it a little closer. So shrimp fajitas. I'm gonna go pour a beer, have lunch, and I hope you all enjoy that.